Knowledge isn't power. Applied knowledge is. Have you noticed something? We live in the most informed generation in human history. You can learn anything: how to start a business, how to build wealth, how to become a better parent, how to make some cornbread or collard greens, how to strengthen your faith. Every answer is only a click away. Millions of books have been written. Millions of podcasts have been recorded. Millions of videos have been uploaded. So here's the $1,000,000 question. If all the information is already available, why aren't more people living extraordinary lives? Because information doesn't change your life. Application does.
Empowering you to live a life fully charged. This is 7,000 Volts, Living an Electrified Life with L.J. Tucker.
Welcome to 7,000 Volts, Living in an Electrified Life. I want you to imagine something. You can close your eyes, you can keep them open, but grab this picture right here in your mind. Let's say I hand you every book ever written on success. Napoleon Hill, Jim Rohn, Earl Nightingale, the Bible, Dr. Wayne Dyer, my personal book, 7,000 Volts, Living an Electrified Life, business books, leadership books, financial books. You read every single one. You highlight every page that's appealing to you. You memorize every quote that you like. Now what? That's where most people stop. They become collectors of information instead of builders of transformation. Knowledge sitting on a bookshelf doesn't change anything. Knowledge sitting in your mind doesn't change anything. Knowledge has to be moved into your hands. It has to become action. You hear me say this in many of my podcasts. Mr. Stan Tangalakis, Mr. T, used to ask me a question that changed the way I think. Whenever I came to see him excited about a new idea, whenever I finished another book, whenever I learned something new, he would smile and ask one simple question: what's the next step? Not what did you learn? Not how inspired you are. Not how motivated do you feel? He wanted to know, what's the next step? Because movement creates momentum. Thinking along never builds a business. Reading along never raised a family. Dreaming along never changed a life. The next step is where your future begins. People ask me all the time, LJ, how do I become successful? I think we complicated success. Here's what I've learned. If you wish to be wealthy, study wealth. Not people pretending to be wealthy. Study people who build wealth with integrity. Study how they think, how they manage money, how they solve problems, how they trust people. Here's the thing, this is a sidebar from my original notes. In baseball, to be a good hitter in the crucial moments, you have to study the pitchers. You have to study every pitcher in the game. Because once you see a curveball coming at you in baseball, you're going to miss it every time. There's something throughout studying, especially I'm using baseball for a reason, because every sport has the same thing. Baseball is more critical because you're not setting picks. You don't have somebody blocking for you. It's just you at the plate with the bat and the pitcher. And every pitcher has a tail. And when you see that tail before he throws that curveball, if you did your homework, if you studied those pictures, the bases are loaded. The pitch count is 3-2. And that pitcher gives you that tail. He's not willingly giving you the tail. He's not tipping his hand. He has a tail that he doesn't even know about. And that's your job. When you study film, that pitcher's going to give you that tail. And you're going to say in your mind, I've seen that tail before. He struck me out 15 times this year. And I caught it by studying the film. That's the tell. So what does that tell us in life? The tell of being broke, not having enough money to pay our bills or buy grocery due to whatever circumstance it is. You have to get to the place in your life when you got to tell yourself what's the next step. How do I manage my money? Can I solve these problems of not having enough? And most importantly, how do I treat other people? Why is that important? Because if you wish not to be broke, if you wish to have a good marriage, you have to study the things that you're wanting and you wish for. It becomes that simple. That's the next step. Hey, what led me to be broke? Take inventory. Look around the house. Look in your car. Man, did I really need this extra pillow? Did I really need this fancy t-shirt? Did I really need this necklace around my neck? And then you come to the conclusions that I came to the conclusion on many things. Yes, I want this shirt. I want that necklace, but I don't have to have it right now. And how do you get to that type of mindset? Well, you learn how to become what you want to be. And then you develop the next step. I'm going to hold this off into my finances a little better before I purchase this. Yes, I can get it on my credit card and pay for it later, but do I need it now? So that's the challenge. What's the next step? Hey, if you want to buy everything you can see, then buy it. But then you can't get lost into why I don't have. See, because when we study the things that we want to be, things change. If you wish to become healthy, you study healthy people. Guess what? A lot of healthy people don't eat a lot of different processed foods. They don't eat all the different chips. And that's the challenge sometimes. I'm glad I have a nutritionist. Because when I see my nutritionist that you guys seen on my show, she forces me to do things with my health that normally I wouldn't do. But because I wanted better health, I hired a nutritionist to help me be a better version of myself, to help me to be a healthier person. If you wish to become a great parent, study great parents. If you wish to become a better person of faith, study people who actually live their faith. I think R.V. Brown covered a lot of that stuff when he was on my show for part 1 and part 2 when he talked about faith, because you have a lot of pretenders. You have a lot of people that say one thing, but they show you a totally different thing. So you do have to study people who actually live their faith, because the other ones is just not a good example. Whatever that dream is, study that very thing. Don't leave it to chance. There's so much TV, there's so many different shows. And yes, we can pick up some good ideas. We can pick up things that we can add to our toolbox of arsenal to help us develop. But we can't live our lives based on the framed picture they present in Hollywood or in somebody's backyard or living room and present to us, because it's not all factual. It's fool's gold, as you heard me say many times. Because chances have never built greatness. Purpose does. Here's something I've noticed. Most people spend more time studying entertainment than they do their own future. They know every sports statistic. They know every celebrity breakup. They know how much money these celebrities making. Every viral trend, but ask them about investing, leadership, communication, faith, or emotional intelligence, and they don't know where to begin. You become what you consistently feed your mind. Dr. Wayne Dyer says you become what you think about all day long. That's why your environment matters. Your conversations matter. Your friendships matter. Your playlist matters. Your bookshelf matters. Everything is training your brain into becoming someone. The only question is who? Now let's go a step deeper. Everybody wants success in some type of a way, but very few people want the process. They see the nice home, they see the nice car, they see a well put together family, but they don't see the work it took. They see a successful business, but they don't see that business founder and owner getting up at 3:30, 4 o'clock in the morning to start their day. They don't see that process. Success is built one step at a time. Success is not built in one giant movement. It's built in little tiny decisions. What did Jesus say? If your faith is strong as a little mustard seed. Somebody say mustard seed. Say it in your mind. Mustard seed. Choosing discipline over excuses. Choosing forgiveness over bitterness. Choosing gratitude over complaining. Choosing honesty when nobody's watching. Choosing consistency when motivation disappears. That's how good humans are built. Not overnight. Not one decision. Multiple decisions. Tiny little decisions. One step at a time. People ask me, what does it mean to be a good human? Here's my answer. Being a good human isn't perfection. It's a process. It's treating people with dignity. It's keeping your word. It's admitting when you're wrong. It's serving when nobody else applauds. It's encouraging someone who has nothing to offer you in return. It's becoming the kind of person your children can imitate. Because here's the truth. People really become what we tell them, especially children. They become what they see. You know, being 6'5" has its advantages. I constantly in the store get asked to get something off that top shelf that most people can't reach. I don't have a problem doing it. I'll mess around and have fun with it. Sometimes older lady asked me just the other day, was I at Costco? No, I was at Restaurant Depot getting something, picking up a few items. She said, sir, can you grab that for me? And I went and seen it was a 50-pound bag on the top shelf. And I was like, absolutely not. I said, I'm just teasing. And I grabbed it and put it in her buggy. And she said, thank you, and went on her way. Just a simple kind moment. You know, I could have said no. But because I had the ability to, and I like those opportunities to help a person, I did it. I learned something after surviving 7,000 volts. Life can change in an instant. One moment, everything is normal. And the next, everything changes. That experience taught me something. Tomorrow isn't guaranteed. So why are we waiting? Waiting to forgive, waiting to dream, waiting to write a book, waiting to start that business, waiting to call our parents, waiting to become who God has created us to be. Waiting has stolen more dreams than failure ever has. Let that sink in for a second. So let me ask you, what's your next step? Not next year, not next month. Today, you know, that's one of my favorite words. Not tomorrow, but today. One phone call, one workout, one chapter, one prayer, one application, one apology, one act of kindness. Because little steps repeated consistently becomes extraordinary. I'll leave you with this final thought. When we live in the present moment, playful, we realize life is happening anyway. Time will pass whether we're happy or miserable, whether we're growing or standing still, whether we're becoming better or becoming bitter. the clock never stops. So why not choose growth? Why not choose purpose? Why not choose to become the best version of yourself? Not because you're trying to impress someone, but because someone you've never met yet may someday need your story. Remember this, information is available to everyone. Transformation belongs to those who act. Don't just read the book. Live the lessons. Don't just hear the message. Become the message. Study your dream. Apply what you learn. Take the next step. Again, take the next step after you decide what the next step is. And above all, be a good human. Because when good humans become better humans, families change, communities change, businesses change, nations change. And that is how ordinary people begin living an electrified life. I'm LJ Tucker. This is 7,000 volts. Living an electrified life. Until next time, be blessed. Don't stress. Remember, words carry voltage. Stay electrified, my friends.
This has been 7,000 Volts, Living an Electrified Life, available on YouTube and your favorite podcast app. If you enjoyed the show, don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe. For more information, visit us on the web at ljtucker.com. Remember, stay electrified.